And what's going on, you guys? I am here with the greatest of it all over there, Huffman, and we're gonna have a good time in this interview because y'all just don't know what all it had to us get here right here, but we here, and that's the point. And I think starting off so cool is just resiliency of continue to keep going, even when things don't look well, is the thing. So welcome, Coach. How are you doing, Coach Slater? What's going on? How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm blessed. I'm happy to be here and have this opportunity. So thank you for inviting me.
Yes, most definitely here. Look, as I've told some other coaches that are my together coming on, I think in Birmingham we don't do enough of highlighting and giving our coaches our flowers. And so that is something that I truly want to do is we have to highlight now because coaching female athletes is not easy. It's work. And I think we underestimate that because we just see females, but females comes with so many emotions and things that goes on. So it is work. We need to highlight it. We know sports are growing and we want to continue to grow first from the head. And that's highlighting some of you coaches coming on too, because it's so valuable and it's so needed. But before I get into that, I just want y'all to see why she here. Like I ain't even just keep on going on. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna show y'all this right here. The ladies that she has put up. So just to show you guys why she's here. So going from that, just kudos to you. Hand clap to you
Thank
for
thank you.
everything. And looking into that right there, is there one of those highlights that you can look back at and just say, dang, that meant a lot to me. Like I really accomplished that as a team.
Wow, it's a lot. And I mean, all of it has a
Mhm.
special meaning to me, whether it's personal or whether it was for those particular teams or for Huffman High School. Um, but I think really for me, when I got my 300th career win this past season, that really meant a lot to me. Just to achieve something like that, and because that's something that a lot of people, a lot of coaches don't get to that point in their career, and it takes a lot of hard work and dedication to get 300 wins. And I feel like I still have a lot more years to coach.
Come on,
um,
man.
so I'm hoping I can double that before I'm done. But that one really meant a lot. And
Come
then
on.
of course, just making history at Huffman, being the first female coach to play for a state championship. So those two most definitely.
Definitely. Like you said, yeah, I always tell people you just getting started. When you working in passion, you just getting started. There's more things that you will be accomplishing, you will be doing on that. And I know once upon a time before you was on another podcast, if I'm certain that is it Slater Faces, what's the nickname they gave you in the city? Come on, tell us about that. What's the
Right.
nickname?
Well, my boy Ray Turner, that's my guy, and he covers a lot of sports around the city. He's been covering my team for like the past 2.5, maybe 3 years,
Definitely good guy.
and him among others is always wondering and want to know about my facial expressions when I coach, which
Mhm.
I've been coaching like that ever since I started. And so he took notice to that, and he was like, he always liked to give the coaches a nickname, and he just came up with faces because of the facial expressions that I make when I coach.
Yes. If
And it's
y'all
just,
ain't seen a coach,
yeah, it's
put
just
it
how I
on your
coach. I
schedule this
mean,
year.
if you come to the games and you'll see it, you'll know exactly why he calls me
Mhm.
that.
And
But
where did you
it's
get
funny
some of
though.
the I'm sorry, where did you get some of those dynamic ways? Or do you even recognize that you be doing it, or it's just you be in the mix of the game?
Well, first of all, being from Coosa County down in the
Uh-huh.
country, it's an hour and a half, about an hour and a half south of here. I grew up around some outstanding coaches. My high school coach, Calvin McKinney, our boys coach, Joe Blue, my high school coach, Henry Carter, some of my and also Doris Gamble as well. Let me shout her out too. Coaches that I was just around growing up, and when I played sports at Central Coosa, they were all very passionate in coaching. So I just watched them a lot, watched how they carried themselves, and it kind of grew on me just as a player. when I was in high school, I actually would mimic them. I
Oh,
would mimic what
wow.
I saw them when they was coaching, and as kids, we always mimic our coaches just playing
Right.
around. So that kind of just stuck with me. That passion has been in me since I played myself, and it just grew into me as a coach.
And now, do you get that from some of your players? Are they mimicking you now?
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay.
They try. It's hard to imitate me though. But they'll try to do it. It's funny. I
Hey,
don't
Coach
understand
said
it.
it's hard. You gotta be around in her coaching energy to see when she coaching. Like she said, cause she's with it, she's one of a kind. Like you said, it ain't
Right,
gonna be duplicated. Ain't no
right,
Coach Slater around there.
right, right,
On
right.
it. So most definitely, I love that because yes, just your presence on that sideline, and I'm sure you bring that over into the girls. But like, what made you start playing sports? Because you said that you play sports. So what was that impact in which you started playing basketball?
Oh, I started very young, probably maybe 7 or 8 years old. I didn't have a basketball goal when I first started. Me starting out, it was a bucket on the side of the house and a volleyball, and
Mm.
I was standing out there just throwing the ball in the bucket. And I was making it, and I realized, hey, I'm pretty good at this. So I finally taught my dad into giving me a basketball goal, and it just really kind of started from there. I mean, it was just kind of a natural thing for me. Playing basketball is just really a God-given talent,
Mm.
and I just believe if God gives you a talent, you need to use it. So it just kind of started from me in the yard, and then once I got in seventh grade, started playing for the school team.
I love it. And for the ones that are listening, especially my young athletes, I don't know if y'all heard, she said it wasn't a goal at first. It was just a bucket, what
Yeah.
she did, and she made something out of it. Because as we talk on this podcast, it's also about the mental fortitude when we
Mhm.
say health and wellness. So it was a mentality that you had that I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna go get it regardless.
Most
So
definitely.
how did that help you as you continue to grow in basketball with that mindset?
Well, my mindset and the same mindset I try to teach my players now is if you're determined to do something, you're gonna do whatever it takes. And you may not always have the necessary resources to do what you need to, but you always try to find a way. I'm a very determined person. I always have been. I've always been a seeker of high goals. I've never settled for less. Even when I had less, I never settled for it. I believe you don't have to be a victim of your circumstances.
Yeah.
My mom made a lot of sacrifices for me and my brother growing up. We didn't always have everything we wanted, but we had what we needed, and we had enough to get us to where we was trying to go. So the biggest thing is just determination, just having that mindset. I'm not gonna let anybody stop me from doing what I want to do or trying to do.
Right. I love that. I love that humbleness too in you of being humble, but also that push. And like you said, you push that over into your girls to
Mhm,
have that as well. So
mhm.
as a coach that had to come up and had some challenges on that aspect, how does that, like you said, play even more into your girls? Like what are some things that you push into them to be like, it's not gonna be given to you? Because we know in female sports, we're
Mhm.
just seeing the crowds. So before then, what were some of the things that you poured into your girls?
Well, I try to pour myself into them, and I know every coach has their way of getting to their players. Generations are changing, which I'm seeing firsthand. Um, and it's kind of hard to reach some of them, but I still try. I have my moments and I'm like, dang, I don't know if I can get to this one. But I think just being consistent in your beliefs, in what you feel is right,
Yeah.
listening to your players too. I try to talk to them. I try to see where they're coming from, and when it don't make sense, I try to correct it and help them to view things in a different way. Because mentally, a lot of our kids do struggle
Yeah,
in a lot of areas. They struggle bad,
definitely.
and a lot of times we don't even, as coaches or teachers, we don't even understand what's going on with the kids, and sometimes we assume that they may be just have a negative attitude, but really they dealing with something mentally, and they really don't know how to handle it.
Mhm.
So you have to try to learn your players and learn try to figure out what's going on with them, and then that way you can better deal with whatever the situation is, so that you can coach them most effectively.
No, I love that. And you hit right on it. as you know, being a health and wellness coach, but specializing with female athletes, and that kind of drew me in to do more of this. You guys out there being out there coaching for a middle within Birmingham City Schools, one of my biggest things that I seen that we lacked that part. And also I was that athlete that played in the city and struggled with some mental health things, but nobody knew because I had a mess. I cover a lot of that because I was an AO on the road student. I played ball. I was in sports. So everybody was like, oh, she's good. But it wasn't until I got to adult and I was like, I was struggling. But I didn't have nobody to pour into, as you said, you guys talk to them. So I love that you put that in there. And going into that, do you believe it's enough resources out there, especially within the female realm, helping sports players when it comes to their mental aspect?
Um, yes and no. I think, and really what I'm seeing now, because I'm getting ready to do some mental training with my current team. Um, it's just something that's just overlooked so much.
Yeah.
I don't think enough is being put into it, honestly.
Hmm.
I think coaches a lot of times are more concerned just about winning.
Um,
Now, we know that that's our job is to win games, but at the same time, you got to have some level of concern for your players and their well-being. And also for them to perform at the highest level, they got to be mentally stable.
yeah.
What I've seen over the past few years, and it really is getting worse to me, mentally for the kids is if they're struggling mentally, if they're struggling with self-esteem or confidence, um, or just, just believing in themselves, they're not going to perform well. And those are some areas that I'm hitting on with my current team in confidence and self-esteem, believing in themselves, believing in their teammates, trusting their
Yeah.
teammates. So I think it's a yes and a no.
Okay.
I think it could be, well, we could reach out, which I am currently reaching out to some different people and some different resources, but it just gets overlooked so much that it's not being taken advantage of like it should be.
And I love that you said that because that's the thing we won't call it coaches to acknowledge that and put that out there that it needs to be more. Like you said, these kids are struggling way more than the things that we had to go through coming up with playing sports. Now you added the level, NIL and all that and the
Right.
comparison, it goes so much in there that our kids are showing and seeing. And that's what I love about that because of the history and played and I coach. So now I put that with the background of psychology and social work in there to be able to say, it's okay. We need to talk about it.
Mm.
But not only for the athletes, but for you guys as coaches too, because you guys get overlooked. So also I know that in the midst of everything that was going on, you guys are winning. You guys are going down there, coming back night in and night day when it was down there with, the areas and also our championship time. But I don't think a lot of people know, and this is just me doing my research because I research before I have people on that you had some challenges too.
Mhm.
Wow, things was going on. If you like, you don't have to go in detail, but to share the part that you had challenges, but you were still standing up, you were still coaching those girls, you were still showing up and getting them 110%.
Right. A lot of coaches, and I'm not saying this to be funny. I'm really serious because a lot of people, they want the success, but they don't know what it takes to get there.
Yeah,
And then they don't know what it feels like when you're there and in that moment. And I'm always grateful for the success that I've had. But there's a lot that comes with it, and it's a lot that takes a toll on you mentally, as well as physically. Most people know I had a health scare a little over a year ago, when we went to the state championship, going into that season, going to the state championship game, and even this past season, I dealt with a lot of anxiety while we was in the playoffs, and nobody knew I was dealing with that. And I didn't really tell anybody I was dealing with that because I'm the leader of the program. I'm the leader of the team. I can't show no weakness. Everybody's depending on me, and I know that if I'm not 100%, we're not gonna perform the way we need to. But I did deal with a lot of anxiety um, going into every game from the Sweet 16 forward, from the Sweet 16 to the Elite Eight game, state semifinals, state championship game. And it was physically um, demanding. I dealt with at times minor panic attacks, and things of that nature that I just really kept under wrap.
Mhm.
Because like I said, I wasn't gonna tell anybody what I was dealing with because I didn't want anybody trying to, yeah, because I'd already had the health scare before. And I didn't want anybody, trying to tell me, hey, you don't need to do this, you don't need to do that. But of course, I wanted to be there. I want to coach, and I was going to do the best that I could to put us in a position to be successful. But it can be stressful.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, and I do it again. But and hopefully, I'll be able to better deal with it if I happen to be blessed enough to be in that situation again, playing for a state championship.
And you will, you definitely will, just because of that passion, that purpose. But I thank you for sharing. I wanted you to share because a lot of coaches need to hear that.
Mm.
And most important, a lot of you parents need to hear that. As I always say, I love about having this podcast, I'm no longer a coach. So I'm gonna be real with you. It's a lot of stuff coaches can't say, but y'all forget that these coaches are damn human too. They
Right.
struggle and go through things too. They loving on your kid just like it's their kid too. So when you're coming up them with so much, you got to sometimes step back and say what they probably going through
Mhm.
because they're going to make mistakes. We're human. I made mistakes when I was coaching. Every kid is not going to get in, but they go home. I was used to miss sleep, and I know you was thinking, how can I help that kid get better? But I'm gonna tell you, parents, it's up to you. You got to make sure your kid purpose is to play sports, is to play basketball. Don't put them in daycare. That's a whole other podcast that some of y'all doing. But I wanted you to say that, and I thank you for having that courageous so you can open up for other coaches to say that too. That
Mhm.
I struggle or I'm struggling. And guess what? I'm still working on it.
Mhm.
Anxiety is something a lot of people have. Because
Mhm.
guess what? At the end of the day, yeah, she coaches sports, but it's her job too.
Mhm.
And some of y'all parents forget that. Y'all don't be want nobody to call all up to your job fussing and hollering at you, talking about when you gonna get in and when you gonna get your next raise. So we're
Right.
thinking about not only is we teaching your kids, but she gotta make sure her child been fed too.
Right.
So it takes a lot of input, and then you got a staff that you're working around with too, that's coming in and out. So again, within this podcast, health and wellness is not just for the athletes, but it's for the coaches too. We got to
Mhm.
do a better job of making sure that we are equipping everybody with that. Some form of mental health stabilization to make sure they're getting to that next level. Because everybody wants their trophy and championship, as you said.
Mhm.
But a lot of people don't talk about what goes into that when it comes. So going through that, you was able to make it through, like you said, you're doing it all over again. So what are some things that you have started to do to help cope with some of that anxiety when it comes?
Um, well, I do a lot of praying.
Most definitely.
And I think one of the bad things about me is I overthink stuff. I overthink all the time. I'm always thinking. Sometimes I wish I could turn it off. I hadn't figured out how to turn it off yet. But
Yes.
I'm always thinking. That's my biggest problem. I think that creates a lot of my anxiety. Because going into those games, you always want to prepare. You got to be prepared for your opponent as much as possible, and then you got to hope your kids are ready to play. Um, and things like that. But just really for me, praying, taking a deep breath, talking. When I talk to my coaches, we have conversations, and even now, as we're getting our new team together, just having conversations and just trying to vent.
Mhm.
Um, that's been helping me some. So those are some of the things,
Love it.
and just exercising for me. I've been exercising. I've been working out a lot more too.
Definitely. And it's not like going back to what you know, being in
Mhm.
that sports, growing up in that sports, and being able to come back to that and going into that because, like you said, you was a tough cookie of what you did. You also had a relationship with never forgot it, Mr. Bell. So with Coach Bell, how was that relationship with him? Because you had to have a tough skin to maneuver around him. So how was your relationship? Because I know you had a relationship with Coach Bell.
Right. I first met Coach Bell when I was in high school. I played on his AAU team, and I didn't even really know who he was, honestly. I didn't know the legend of Coach Bell.
Yeah.
Um, but when I got there and I saw how he was doing things, and I really saw what a big AAU program it was, and that he only recruited the best, and I was like, wow, I'm here. And I'm from the country. I was from a little small school, Coosa County, that nobody really even knew about. So having that opportunity just to play for him through travel ball and being in the Birmingham area playing against the best competition on travel teams, it really opened my eyes to a lot. So when we connected back up later on, when I started coaching and he saw me again, he just lit up. He was like, "Wow, look at you," because
Yeah.
he didn't know, he really didn't even know I wanted to be a coach. So when he saw me again, he lit up. I mean, I took a lot of L's from him early
All of us
on.
did. That's the
Mm,
part.
he
But
he
L's
took
for learning.
yeah, but I took a lot of L's. I took a lot of beat downs from him, a lot of lessons learned. But I did finally beat him one time.
Come on now,
And
coach.
yeah, I beat him one time. And I remember that game vividly. After I beat him, he hugged me and he whispered in my ear, he said, "I'm proud of you."
Mm,
And that's something I'll never forget for the rest of my life.
I love it. Intentionality with the right people. It's nothing
Right.
like having the right people that you can look up to and
Right.
be able to see, hey, if you beat one of your coaches, you doing some work.
Oh
So I
yeah,
know
most
you
definitely.
was studying for that one. That was a
Oh
real
yeah.
playbook
Oh yeah,
going
most
on too.
definitely. Most definitely.
And so what led you to Huffman though? How you got there?
Um, well, when I started out at Childersburg High School when I first started in 2006. And I was there for 6 years. And then I went up north to James Clemens. And so I wanted to get back closer to home because I was almost 3 hours away. And I do have a few relatives in Birmingham. So when the job became open, I applied for it. And keep in mind, I had never lived in Birmingham, didn't know anything about Birmingham city schools at all, didn't know anybody, honestly. I was just taking a chance on myself, just wanted to do something bigger, wanted to be great. And when the opportunity presented itself, they offered me the job. And I like to take on, I guess, projects where there's a lot of work to be done because I never like to feel like, somebody else set it up and I'm just finishing it. I like to set it up myself and finish it.
Okay.
You know, a lot of coaches come into situations where it's already set up. So you just kind of finishing what's already been started. I like to come in and start it and finish it. So when that opportunity presented itself, I saw there was a need. And God just kind of guided me then and opened that door. I got there. It was much work to be done. The girls program wasn't good. And I was like, yeah, this is where I need to be because it's some work that needs to be done. So
And you have definitely done the work. We've been happy to see so many young girls that has been under your wing is now off in school. Some of them that have went on and they played, and you got the twins that's coming in too that did a hell of a job this year that's now playing. So
mm.
how does that make you feel when you can look back and say, you know what, all them faces y'all was talking about, but I got babies in school and living out. Like, what joy do that bring to you seeing that?
It brings a lot of joy. And just to think back, just since I've been in Huffman, how many kids I've coached, how many of them have went to college, how many of them have graduated from college, how many of them are parents now, and things like that. It really makes me happy. Um, you know, I it's really, it gets emotional sometimes. Just to think about where some of them are in their lives. It just makes me proud. If I had my way, I try to get all of them to play college ball. All of them don't. And then there's some that do, some that choose other paths, and that's fine because everybody's not going to play. But I just always want to see all of them be successful. So that's really the most important thing is putting productive people out into the world that is going to help better the world and not take away from it.
And I love that you said that because sometimes we don't want to face reality, and especially for our parents that may be watching that our kids are not going to go off to college. Like that is true. But it's still, like you said, helping them be successful, still pouring and putting things in there that's going to lead to their success, even outside of basketball. Because like I always tell people, sports, especially basketball, is like is actually a playbook for life. And if you learn those plays, it's going to help you so much more on in there. So being able to do that and implement that in, but also adding in, how has your staff been able to help you? Because you got some bad bosses too that be on the sideline. So I like to shout. I said, look, I like to give flowers to everybody, and we don't do it enough. So you got some amazing ladies on that sideline with you too. So how does that help having them ladies there?
It helps a lot. Over the years, I've worked with some incredible coaches, and I could go way, way back. But over the past few years, I've had some incredible coaches on my staff. I've had some of my former players that wanted to be coaches and have decided to get into the coaching field to be on my staff, which was really amazing to me. I love that I was able to have kids that have watched me and said, "Now, hey, we want to work with you, and help your current teams." They've been great. And then I have Patty Reza, who's been with me since pretty much since I've been in Huffman. She's been there. I've worked with a lot of different coaches over the years. Some have stayed maybe a year or two and moved on. But my current staff, Patty's still with me, and then I have Asia Morris, who's going into her third year with me, and then I have a new coach on the staff, Carla Smith, who's just starting out with us. So I've been able to bring in some individuals who have a wealth of basketball knowledge, that are young enough to still get out there with the kids, and
That
play
part.
and demonstrate. I mean, I get out there some too, but I am getting older, so I do what I can. But I can
We
still play.
understand. Look, you in the picture.
I can still play now.
Say,
Don't
come get it. I'ma still give it to you
I
though
tell
with
them,
the
don't get it
call.
twisted. I'm still an all-star. But anyway, yeah, my assistants have been great. They work hard, so I appreciate them.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So with that being said, two of your thoughts, where do you see the sports game going to for female sports? Like we see a lot of changes from we played several years ago, but where do you see sports going now for female athletes?
Um, I mean, I see it going in a positive direction. I think it's become more popular,
Hmm.
especially the women's college game. In the just the popularity of Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. I mean, that's who everybody's talking about now in the WNBA. I think they've really opened the doors for female sports and really put female sports on the map, and in particular basketball,
Hmm.
and which I think is a good thing, because we know that a lot of sports is male dominated. I mean, it just is, and it has been, and there's still a lot of men in particular who just don't support women's sports and just don't agree that women should be up there
Hmm.
with men. Just from what I see on social media and things like that. And then there are some men that are all in with
Yeah,
women's sports and have a very high respect for it. And I know we can't change everybody's opinions and mindsets on females in sports, but I do believe we are reaching more people than we ever have. And I do feel like the sport itself is moving in the right direction, and we just gonna keep putting one foot in front of the other one.
most definitely. I love that. We are definitely moving and piggyback like what you're saying. That it is a lot of males out there that are still in their ways,
Mm,
that won't let that go, but know that it is changing. We are here. We ain't going nowhere.
right.
And again, this is a podcast. Why desire for this? It's a lot of y'all still in Birmingham that's doing the same thing too. Um, a lot of haterism when it comes to female sports. Some of you guys still been on the staff 10, 15, 20 years and need to leave it alone. So it's time. Like we are here together. So much
Mhm.
division, but if we just work together to make sure we all are succeeding, it will be so much better.
Right.
But the games it's changing and it's turning. Either you applaud or you get lost. But we ain't going nowhere, baby. We here. It is what it is. So also I want you to reach out to some of the young students or so that will be coming to the games. What are some things that you just want to talk to them? Because I know we want more people coming to the games. Let them know how appreciative that you guys and the players would be if we get more packed houses for the women's sports.
Well, I'm all about promotion, through mostly via social media, because most kids are on social media. I mean, they got their phones in their hands 24/7,
All day long.
all the time, looking at stuff, watching videos. So we try to promote as much as possible. And most of the time, I'm the one doing the majority of our promotion for our program and for our team. And so we're always appreciative when we have anyone coming out to the games, and we definitely want our students, as well as our feeder schools, our elementary schools, to come out and support the girls' basketball team. It's still times when we look in the stands and it's not as many people there as it could be.
Mhm.
And we're still trying to change the dynamics of that, where we have individuals coming and saying, "Hey, we want to watch the girls' game." And I think for us in particular, our attendance picked up over the past 2 years with just the success of the team, the players that we had. People wanted to see them play.
Mhm.
They were exciting players, great players, top players in the state. So that brought a lot of people out to the games as well. And we do realize that if we want to keep our attendance going, we have to put on certain performances, and that's just the way it is. You got to bring something to the table if you want people to come and eat, because people
Most
not gonna come
definitely.
and sit at an empty table. There's got to be something on there that they want. So we work hard to make sure that we try to continue to put something on the table. But we are very appreciative to anyone that comes and supports us.
So most definitely, y'all get out there. Make sure y'all coming out of y'all supporting. I had the pleasure of supporting this year. Where I actually ended up having to get the flow seat though. And it was good because, like you said, it's getting more people, and they was really there before the boys' games. And not only was it highlighting, but it was emotional for me too, going to a lot of these girls' games, knowing that I had the pleasure of playing where we can count the number of people, but to see it stacked already. And we know young people, they gonna have fun, they gonna talk. So I was just like, I guess I'm getting old, but babe, I can't listen to them talk and do all that behind my head. So I had to go to Coach Ward. Excuse me, how much does it cost to sit down there, please?
Right.
But it was amazing to see them cheering in there for the girls, calling their names. It's nothing like it. The support that is needed to push them to the next level. So, guys, make sure you guys are coming out there. Make sure you guys are supporting. And with that being said, is there anything you guys got coming up that the public need to know about, or that you're doing that we can support or help out with?
Well, I mean, as far as our summer games, we're done with that. We did host a
Okay.
play date a couple of weeks ago that I wish I could have promoted just a little bit more. But we still had a good crowd that came out. But we don't have anything coming up anytime soon.
Okay.
We just getting ready for the season at this point. We just working every day, trying to get better every day, taking it slow, step by step, day by day,
Mhm.
because we know we got a lot of work in front of us.
Most definitely. And as we wrap up that, it's a young girl that's gonna look at this and her parent. And they're gonna be watching because they like, hey, that's Coach Slater. We know she had these girls go to the championship, Sweet 16. What are some things that you can first for that athlete, what she needs to do to be prepped when coming to high school? And also that parent, what are some things that you would like to tell them?
But for the parents, definitely invest in your child. If you feel like your child has talent, skill, and they're good enough and they're serious about what they're doing, invest in them. When I say invest in them, get them the help that they need to be successful, whether it's playing travel ball, whether it's getting them a trainer, and get them around the right people. Get them around people that's really about your child and not about themselves. I think the mistake that a lot of people make is they had their kids around with the wrong people.
Mhm.
Some people are all about self and all about personal accolades and stuff. And success is not really built off of that. My successes come from me wanting to be great and helping other people to be great. And in return of that, I ended up being successful. I didn't come into it all about myself. I came into it wanting to help other people be great. And in return, I got back greatness. Um, for the kids, you gotta have a heart and a desire and a passion for this. And I tell my players the same thing. You know, a lot of kids will say they want to play, and it's cool when you're a kid, when you're a young kid, when you saying I just want to play basketball for fun. It's nothing wrong with that. But once you get to high school, you need to know like how serious are you about this and where you trying to go with this and what are you really trying to do. It's okay to be part of the team. If you say you want to be a part of the team, you want to help the team be successful. It's nothing wrong with that. But then you also got kids on that same team that's trying to go to college and want to really have a career in basketball. So everybody still got to be on the same page because you out there playing. You might be playing for fun, but the person beside you was playing to go to school for free.
Yes.
Two totally different mindsets. But those mindsets can still come together and say, you know what, we're going to be on the same page because we want to win. You're going to get something in return, which is you're part of the team and helping the team be successful. They're going to get something in return and a scholarship. So for me, you know, anybody that plays for me, you just really got to be serious about what you're doing, whether you want to take it to the next level or not. We want kids that are serious about what they doing and it's gonna work hard. And it does take the coaches pushing because all the kids not gonna come in with that mindset. If we be realistic, they're not. But if you're willing to change your mindset, then we can work with that. And that's kind of where I am with that.
Let's go. Y'all heard it. Y'all heard it for always. I'm pulling another one of the goats. Y'all heard it. Great interview. Thank you, Coach, for stopping in to
Thank you.
bless me with your time. And I just say, definitely, I'm glad I got the opportunity. I had the pleasure at one time. I don't know if you remember stopping you at Huffman and just staying then at Huffman, congratulating you. But as always, that is my goal. Long as God give me breath to congratulate and pat other people, because you just never know how a word or just you doing well or thank you can go a long way. So I want to thank you for that. And most important, because again, I'm telling you guys, we had a heck of a time just doing this. We went from one thing to the next thing. But I've grown so much respect because she could have said, you know what, we ain't finna record this. But she still said, I'm gonna keep doing it. And I know it was for a purpose reason because some coach, and I'm not even talking about the kids right now, some coach, this is for some coach that's
Mm.
watching this is gonna say, I'm so glad she spoke about that. And you're gonna reach out to her about the stuff that you're going through because all we need is one sister to say, you know what, I've had a hard time. So I
Right.
thank you for just being courageous. I thank you for pouring that out because sometimes we can see the coaches on the court and be like, oh, they this and they that. But you
Mm.
never know what goes behind those closed doors. So
That's true.
thank you. Thank
And I
you.
just wanted to say this really
Yeah.
quick because I am going to be working on a book. And the book is just really going to be from a coach's standpoint of just how to stay motivated, and just also how to motivate your players. So that's a personal project and personal goal of mine because there are a lot of coaches that do struggle with motivation and motivating their players and different things like that. And it's just kind of just to give you ideas and just kind of look at things from my standpoint. It's just trying to help others, just trying to help other people.
Most
So
definitely. And hey, you got our any way we could promote it, we're gonna put it on here, we're gonna promote it because
hey,
we just getting started. As I told you, this is all about resiliency. I wanted to do this. Everything is not going well, but just like a player, I still gotta go.
right.
Hiccups won't come, but I know this purpose for to make platforms like this for us to be able to talk. So I will continue to grow with this. And once you get it out there, promoting, putting it on there, dropping your link for people to buy, we doing it. We gonna make sure because this is our job to help and be a blessing to everyone. So I'm excited for the book. Go ahead and put my order in because I know it's gonna be crazy. Put it in. We each already faces just on there, all your different
Oh
faces on
yeah.
there. Like
Yeah.
it's coming. So
It's
again,
coming.
thank you guys. Thank you for listening, tuning in. If you have any questions, y'all already know what it is. Please post your comments on there. But as always, this is your girl, Coach Perry. Don't just talk about change, be a doer change. Why? Because you deserve it.